Susadhavaha
Vimukta Sangha Munaya Susadhavaha
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam Vane
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam
Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridasame Gatihi
Bhuta Suhridasame Gati
Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumangalam
Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumaka
Vimukta Sangha Munaya Susadhavaha
Vimukta Sangha Susadhavaha
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam Vane
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam
Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridasame Gatihi
Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridasame Gati
Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumangalam
Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumaka
Vimukta Sangha Munaya Susadhavaha
Vimukta Sangha Susadhavaha
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam Vane
Charanti
Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridasame Gatihi
Bhuta Same Gati Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumangalam
Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumangalam
Vimukta Sangha Munaya Susadhavaha
Vimukta Sangha Munaya Susadhavaha
Charanti Alokam Ratamandranam Bane
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam Vane
Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridak Samegati
Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridasame Gatihi
Didrikshavo Yasya Padam Sumangalam Didrikshavo Yasya Padam
Sumangalam
Vimukta Sangha Maya Susadhava
Vimukta Sangha Munaya Susadhava
Charanti Aloka Vratamandranam Bane
Charanti Aloka Vratamavranam Vane Bhutatma Bhuta Suhridasame Gatihi Didrikshavaha Those who desire to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Those who desire to see the Supreme Light.
Yasya
Yasya
of him.
of him.
Padam
Padam
the lotus feet.
Lotus is
Sumangalam
Sumangalam
all auspicious.
all auspicious.
Vimukta Sangha
The Sangha
persons who are completely disinfected of material conditions.
persons who are affected material conditions.
Munayaha great sages. Susadhavaha
Susadhavaha
those who are highly elevated in spiritual consciousness.
those who are highly elevated in spiritual consciousness.
Charanti practice. Aloka Vratam vows of brahmacharya, vanaprastha or sannyas.
Vows of brahmacharya, vanaprastha or sannyas.
Avranam without any fault.
Without any fault.
Vane in the forest.
In the forest.
Bhuta Atma Bhutaha those who are equal to all living entities.
Those who are equal to
Suhridaha those who are friends to everyone.
Those who are friends to everyone.
Saha that same Supreme Personality of Godhead.
That same Supreme Personality.
Me my Gatihi destination. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Gita. Renunciants and great sages who see all living beings equally, who are friendly to everyone, and who flawlessly practice in the forest the vows of brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, desire to see the all-auspicious lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that same Supreme Personality of Godhead be my destination. Purport. This verse describes the qualifications for devotees or persons highly elevated in spiritual consciousness. Devotees are always equal to everyone, seeing no distinction between lower and higher classes. Pandita Samadarshinaha. They look upon everyone as a spirit soul who is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Thus they are competent to search for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the friend of everyone, Sufridam Sarva Bhutanam, they act as friends of everyone on behalf of the Supreme Lord, making no distinction between one nation and another, or one community and another. They preach Krishna consciousness, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Thus, they are competent to see the lotus feet of the Lord. Such preachers in Krishna consciousness are called Paramahamsas. As indicated by the word Vimukta Sangha, they have nothing to do with material conditions. One must take shelter of such a devotee in order to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakaramayam Dadati Svapadantikam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Niti Namane Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpadruvishya Kripasandhi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasada Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Didrikshavo yasya padam sumangalam vimukta sangha munaya susadhavaha charantya loka vratam avranam bane bhutatma bhuta suhrida same gatihi. Renunciants and great sages who see all living beings equally, who are friendly to everyone, and who flawlessly practice in the forest the vows of brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, desire to see the all-auspicious lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that same Supreme Personality of Godhead be my destination. So continuing with another one of the verses in the sequence of prayers of Gajendra, who has found himself in a very precarious situation. In previous verses, we heard about Gajendra's definition of God, or his describing who it is exactly that he's praying to. And in that way, he kind of glorifies the Supreme Lord and makes it very clear that he's taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, and he's not taking shelter of any other persons or things which many people take shelter of in times of distress, like the situation that he found himself in. A lot of times when people get into trouble, they take shelter of their own abilities, maybe their physical or their mental abilities, or maybe they phone a friend. There's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that game show where if you don't know the answer to the question, you have the option to phone a friend. So you, before going into that game, you probably make some arrangement, and you become very friendly with somebody who you are confident will be very expert in saving you from whatever problem you're not able to solve. So people might phone a friend, they might call the police, or if you're so fortunate as to be born in the Vedic culture, then maybe you pray to some demigod. But Gajendra, he made it very clear that he's praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates, maintains, and destroys the cosmic manifestation, who is present everywhere, and who is all-knowing. Anyways, these are just a few of the definitions of the Supreme Lord, which Gajendra gives in previous prayers to this. And he also highlights the inconceivable nature of the Supreme Lord in the previous verse. Today's verse is illuminating the fact that the Supreme Lord is worshipped by the highest class of people, the renunciants and great sages, who stick very firmly to very difficult vows. So in other words, Gajendra is kind of revealing that, anyways, it's not just me, an animal who found himself in distress, who's praying to you. Also, the most sophisticated living entities and the sages and saints, they also pray to you. They also are pursuing you. They want to see you. They want to take shelter of you. So it's not just animals like me who had found themselves in some kind of unfortunate situation who pray to you. It's even the most elevated personalities are also praying to you. They're also taking shelter of you, and they're also praying and hoping to have darshan of you, praying that you will reveal yourself to them. So in this way, Gajendra, he makes this point. I mean, he kind of, I guess, indirectly makes this point that it's not just low class people like me. Of course, Gajendra is not low class. We spoke about that whenever we were reading about the description of where this is happening in this like heavenly kind of a planet where he's the king of the elephants. He's enjoying so much. There's so many types of flowers and birds and trees, and the lake is very serene and beautiful. So, anyways, Gajendra isn't just some kind of low animal, but we can find an indirect purpose of this verse and saying that Gajendra is kind of saying that it's not just my fallen self who's taking shelter of you. Even the highest living entities are taking shelter of you. So what to speak of small people like us? We should also follow in their footsteps and take shelter of the Supreme Lord, because they are the ones who know, and they are the ones who are free from all these vices. They're free from situations like the ones that I've gotten myself into. I got in this horrible condition because I was just engaged in Maya, enjoying all my wives and just wasting time in this material world. But these sages and munis, they're not doing any of these things. They're not getting themselves attacked by, uh, what is it, alligator? No, crocodiles. I guess it would have been. I guess it would have been an alligator, because alligators are in lakes and crocodiles are in the sea. They're saltwater, right?
No, there are no crocodiles in the sea.
There's no. I don't know the difference. Then I thought that they were crocodiles were saltwater. They live in saltwater. I know crocodiles are bigger. Anyways, I think in here it says crocodile, right? In the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, these sages, they're definitely not worried about getting attacked by crocodiles. They're definitely not enjoying with many wives in the pleasure groves of the heavenly planets and things like that. They are engaged in austerity in the forest. They're focusing their attention one pointedly. What is that? Anyways, Bahushaka Hyanantascha. Buddhayo Vivasayana. Anyways, I forget. They're engaged single pointed attention on simply trying to attain the highest goal of devotional service. They consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the paragati. In this verse, this word gati is used. Me gati. He also wants to achieve that same destination as those sages and saints who are engaged in these tapasya and spiritual practice in the forest. So it's a very high aspiration for someone who's in a body of an elephant, who just a few years before actually we see that he was struggling with the crocodile for over 1,000 years, I think, maybe 1,000 years. So 1,000 years, and then finally he kind of comes to his senses. Maybe I should take shelter of the Supreme Lord. But all of that 1,000 years, he was probably thinking, okay, how can I use my bodily strength? Maybe he was thinking of so many different solutions to get out of this problem. And finally, he came to the conclusion to take shelter of the Lord. But anyways, we don't expect that renunciants and great sages are they find themselves in that kind of situation. Um, so even they are taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. Even they are desirous of having darshan of the Supreme Lord. So it's not just people in trouble. Even the people who are living a completely peaceful and happy life without any kind of sinful activity, without any kind of bodily disturbances, who are completely on the transcendental platform, even those such people, they also desire to take darshan of the Supreme Lord. We see this in different cases in the Bhagavatam as well, with the four Kumaras, who just upon smelling the tulasi buds which were offered to the lotus feet of Narayana, became attracted to Vaikuntha. They found themselves, they themselves were thinking, what is this? We're completely sense controlled, we're completely transcendental, but for some reason this scent is captivating our minds. That must mean that this scent is something which is transcendental. This scent is something which is spiritual. So they pursued that. Also, Shukadev Goswami himself, he was in his mother's womb for 15, 16 years. And he thought that, what's the point of coming out into this world? Better I stay inside the womb of my mother, because here nobody's bothering me. Here I'm not being disturbed by my senses. I don't have to see all the nonsense going on in this world. Better I just stay in the womb of my mother. But then Krishna, whenever Krishna himself kind of forced him to come out, still he just ran away from home into the forest and decided to live a life of transcendentalism. It said that he was a fully realized Brahmavadi. He was completely realized Brahman feature of the Supreme Lord. But even he was attracted by hearing the sages in the forest chanting the mantras of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which they had learned from his father, Vedavyas. So he became captivated upon hearing the pastimes of the Lord, the qualities and pastimes of the Lord. So there are many examples of this, but we never see that any kind of devotees go to some lower conception of the Brahman aspect or the Paramatma aspect. We always see that the Brahmavadis, the Paramatmavadis, they go up to devotional service, but those who are completely situated in pure devotional service, the residents of the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, Goloka, Ayodhya, all these spiritual planets, they never think, oh, anyways, I'm kind of tired of serving the Lord here, better to be fixed in the Brahman effulgence. That never happened. We don't see any example of that. So, anyways, so even these such people, they're very attracted to the spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and specifically, they desire to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. There's a lot that can be said about the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. There's one Sri Vaishnava Acharya who, I forget how many verses it was. It was at least 108, but maybe even like 1,008 verses in glorification of just the shoes of the Supreme Lord. Not even approaching the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So how can we understand the glories of the feet of the Lord? So the saints and sages, they desire to have darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayorathapi Manaso Muni Pungavana. So by the mental strength of the munis, they can't hardly even approach the light emanating from the Supreme Personality, the toes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. So yogis, they're also engaged in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is the object of their meditation. So these are the qualifications of a devotee, or for one who's highly elevated in transcendentalism, that they are desirous of attaining the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. There are many qualities of a devotee. There's 26 primary qualities of a devotee, but just like the Supreme Lord, because the devotee is so much associated with the Supreme Lord, they practically have unlimited good qualities, and simply by being devotees, they develop all kinds of good qualities. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. So just by being devotees, they develop all the good qualities which we see present in the demigods, all the opulences which they have, the power, the fame, the wealth. So we see that very naturally in the devotees. So, which means that there's a qualification. There are symptoms by which we can identify devotees. Many cheaters will be there, but if they don't exhibit the symptoms of what it means to be highly advanced in Krishna consciousness or in spiritual consciousness or whatever, um, then we can understand that they're simply mithyacharis. This is what Krishna calls pretenders in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna wants to go away and sit in the forest and act like a yogi, Krishna says, no, don't be a mithyachari, which means one who, brahmachari means one who moves in Brahman. Mithyachari means one who moves in falsity. Mithya means like falsity. So they are simply cheating. They might look like a yogi, they might have a big beard. It's very popular in India. I mean, the main qualification of a guru in India is that you have to have a big beard. And then the second qualification is that you have to have a big belly. Not that you have to be a devotee of Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada, when he was asked what the qualification is for, by Yoko Ono, actually, the girlfriend of John Lennon, they were asking him, what is a real guru? What's the qualification of a guru? Prabhupada said, qualification of a guru is one who is simply addicted to speaking about God. All they do is speak about God, speak about Krishna specifically. So this is the qualification. It's said that a foolish person can go unnoticed until he opens his mouth. So uh, we can judge by the speech of a person their spiritual qualification, and we can judge the advancement of a devotee by how much addicted they are to speaking about the Supreme Lord, where nothing escapes from their mouth other than words which are used to serve and glorify the Supreme Lord. So this is the aspiration of Gajendra, who I've never seen an elephant that can even speak. Maybe he could, but it doesn't seem like previously he was able to until suddenly he began to offer these prayers. So, anyways, what is that? What's the verse? Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. This verse says that you, Lord, or this can also be offered to the Guru, give even a mute man the ability to speak very eloquent words. A lame man, you can give him the power to conquer mountains. What's the first part?
Mukam karoti vachalam.
Mukam karoti vachalam. Mukaram karoti vachalam. So one who isn't able to speak, he's able to speak very, very beautifully by the mercy of the Guru, by the mercy of Krishna. So that's what's happening with Gajendra. Generally speaking, one in an elephant body, especially one who's very absorbed in mundane things like wives and swimming in the lakes and the heavenly planets, we don't expect them to be speaking things of much quality, but inspired by the Lord and inspired by seeing the example of great renunciants and sages, Gajendra also, he has revived this memory from a previous life, from advancement in devotional service from a previous life, these prayers which he is reciting. So similarly, as followers of Srila Prabhupada and as aspirants of becoming Krishna conscious, we should try to avoid speaking any kind of prajalpa, gramya katha, means worldly talks, talking about politics and talking about gossip. And especially it means avoiding criticizing devotees, offending devotees with our speech. So this is Srila Prabhupada many times said that this is the main qualification of a sadhu. Many qualifications of sadhu is there. Titikshava karunaka, suhrida sarvadehina, ajata shatru, ajata shatrava, Ajata Shatrava Shanta Suhrida no, Sadhava Sarva Sadhava Sadhu Bhushan. Titikshava is very tolerant. Karunaka is very merciful to all living entities. He's a friend of everyone. Surhida Sarvadehimam. He's no one's enemy. Ajata Shatra. Shatrava. Shanta, he's very peaceful. So these are the different qualities which adorn. They're like decorations for a sadhu. It's not that these things is what makes the sadhu a sadhu. There might be many merciful people. There might be many people who are very peaceful. But these are kind of like jewels which adorn a sadhu. And the main thing is that he's addicted to Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna with his mind, body, and words. This is the main qualification of a sadhu, specifically of a renunciant, the tridandi, the three dandas of the danda which a sannyasi carries. The three dandas represent surrender in mind, body, and words. So this is what a real sannyasi is. Krishna in the beginning of the third chapter, answering Arjuna's questions, it says that a real sannyasi, a real renunciant, isn't one who simply doesn't light any fire. It means that he's stopped doing any kind of yajna, he's not following any Vedic rituals or rules and regulations anymore. That's not what a sannyasi is. A real sannyasi is one who gives up his attachment to the fruits of his activities. So one can go on performing activities as a sannyasi, but real sannyasi means that he's completely detached from enjoying the results of those activities. So these are real renunciants and sages who desire to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not mithyacharis who just go to the forest, grow out their beard, sit like this for a long time and develop a following like that. This is also exemplified by many of our acharyas, paramahamsas. We see it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. A good example is Mahaprabhu himself. It seemed like he very strictly followed many rules and regulations when it came to varnashram. But some of his followers, it seems like not so much. The Swarup Damodar Goswami, it's understood that he was a sannyasi. Socially speaking, he was performing the duty of a sannyasi in society. He even went through some of the kind of formalities of sannyas where he removed his sacred thread, cut his shika. Previously, this was kind of standard for a sannyasi. No shika, no Brahmin thread, and then you would take the saffron cloth, and you have one cloth, and that's all. And probably so many other things might be the danda, obviously, but it seems like Swarup Damodar, and also accepting a new name. This is one thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't accept. But Swarup Damodar is specifically mentioned on Chaitanya Charitamrita that he removed his thread and he cut his shika, but he wouldn't wear this cloth because he didn't want to be recognized and respected because of that. He was simply concerned with increasing his ability to serve the Supreme Lord. So his renunciation, his sannyas, simply means his sannyas simply meant accepting what's favorable or rejecting what's unfavorable for the execution of devotion service. On the other hand, we see the devotees like Pundarik Vidyanidhi who externally seem to be very materialistic. It said that he had very expensive oils in his long black hair, and he would be chewing on betel and pan, and his house was just full of very opulent furniture. And Gadadhar Pandit, who took him there? Mukunda Datta, I think. Someone took Gadadhar Pandit over there to say, you have to meet this sadhu, you have to meet this devotee. And then Gadadhar Pandit, who was a brahmachari, and who was very renounced, he came to see this so-called sadhu that is making he's making waves in the Vaishnava community for being so saintly and so elevated. But Gadadhar Pandit immediately thought, okay, this is a cheater. I've seen this before. He's got the long hair. He's got so much money. I've seen this before. This is bogus. But then, very, very quickly, Mukunda, he recited one verse which was glorifying the Supreme Lord for being so merciful. Just see how merciful is the Lord that even for Putana, who was trying to kill him, he gave her the highest role as a wet maid. What do they call it?
Wet nurse.
Wet nurse in the spiritual world. Just see how merciful our Lord is. And then immediately upon hearing that, Pundarik Vidyan, he just went into swoons of ecstasy for like, I think over 6 hours straight. He was just like smashing things in his house and flailing around and just going wild. And Gadadhar Pandit immediately thought, okay, I made a big mistake for judging him externally. So the real qualification is that one is addicted to serving Krishna. And because of this, he's very naturally, he assimilates all kinds of good qualities. One of those being the Suhrita Sarva Bhutana. In this verse, we have Bhutatma Bhuta Suhrita. Is that the same? Yeah, Bhutatma Bhuta means one who is equal to all living beings. Samadarshanaha, Pandita Samadarshanaha, and then Suhrita. So what does it really mean to be Suhrita of all living entities? What does it mean to be the friend of all living entities? We already talked about how devotees are karunika, they're very merciful. So what does it mean to be merciful? Does it mean that we want to open up many hospitals and schools and cataracts camps, fix the people's eyes and feed them, even if it means that we have to put in eggs in our menus which we sponsor, which is going on, unfortunately. ISKCON, of course, there's the split away from ISKCON, the what is it? Akshay Patra, but I heard that even ISKCON now, they're involved in this midday meals in India where they collect lots of money to sponsor giving food for students. And the government requires that they also provide eggs. So they also, lots of that money goes for providing eggs to students. So it's very good, right? It's very merciful for the kids that don't get a lot of food at home and they're very poor. And we might open many big hospitals, to help people who can't really afford it, good health care. And Srila Prabhupada was heavily against these things, this mundane welfare activity. Big, so much money and time and organization goes into these camps, which are for helping curing people's cataracts, eye camps, and but what does it really mean to be a sadhu? What does it really mean to be merciful? Is that we give them spiritual vision. We cure their spiritual needs, not that we have to open hospitals. Our temples are like hospitals. They're like spiritual hospitals. The prasadam that we distribute, not only does it materially nourish the people, but also spiritually they become so uplifted by taking this prasad which has been offered to the Lord. So real mercy to the living entities. Karuna means to give the living entities an opportunity to engage in devotional service of the Lord. So basically, we see that all the activities of Srila Prabhupada, all of the ways that he was guiding his disciples, are ultimately, he himself was so merciful that he gave his followers a process by which they can also become merciful. And like this is like a huge transcendental pyramid scheme where you join and then you get so many others to join and then they get so many others to join, and like that anandam buddhi vardhanam, ever increasing bliss as the conditioned souls come back to their constitutional position. So this is real mercy upon the living entities, and the most effective means by which we can spread this mercy is, of course, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Such a compassionate service that one can do. You're not going to make a lot of money. You're not going to become rich and famous. It's funny when sometimes people think that we're like scammers. We're trying to give people these books and we're somehow or other like scamming them out of $5-10. And sometimes they're like, we give them our Cash App or our Venmo or something. You're not just going to scam me, are you? So I think if we were going to scam you, we probably wouldn't be doing it with these books. I think there's probably some more intelligent ways to scam people because nobody wants these books. So you're not going to get anything materially out of it. You can find some way to get some material motive out of book distribution, but it's very easy to get smashed. Krishna will, Maya will smash you, Krishna will smash you. So this is a good way to spread the mercy. And by following such merciful devotees, Srila Prabhupada, who can be more merciful than him? He came to America to distribute Bhagavatams. He only came with a few things, and one of the main things that he came with, at least physically occupying the most amount of space in his luggage, were his Srimad Bhagavatams. And we see throughout his preaching in the Western world, he was just pushing so much for the distribution of these Bhagavatam. In the Boston harbor, before he even arrived to New York, after seeing he could already see whenever he walked around. He got off at Commonwealth Pier and he walked to some grocery store in Boston. And he could already see how the modes, Tamoguna and Rajoguna, were just completely covering over people. And he writes in that Markine Bhagavad Dharma, he sings in that prayer that Krishna, you're the supreme yogi, and only by your mystic potency you can liberate these people from these gross coverings of the lower modes. And how will they understand you? I don't know. But I have faith that simply by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, these people will become uplifted. So just see Prabhupada's faith in the Bhagavatam. Just see how merciful he was, trying to spread this to all the fallen Western people. Now it's helping to help the a little less fallen Indian people, but still very fallen. Anyone in this material world, very fallen. So giving them an opportunity, and this is the real mercy of a devotee. And then by coming into contact with such a devotee, we have Vimukta Sangha. Vimukta Sangha can mean that they're completely free from any kind of sangha with the gunas of this world. Vimukta Sangha, they're free from association with this material world. And also it can mean that by associate on the other end of it, Vimukta Sangha means that they are completely associated with Vimukta, with that supreme liberation. So similarly, if we associate with someone who is transcendental, who is free from the modes of material nature, then we will also be qualified. We will also become eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one must take shelter of one of these merciful devotees who are very addicted to serving Krishna, very addicted to giving on the mercy of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, speaking about Krishna. And by associating with them, we can also become Paramahamsas. Sounds nice. But in the meantime, so many practical things that we can do to relieve ourselves of horrible condition that we've gotten ourselves into, the bad habits which we've developed by following the rules and regulations, very simple rules and regulations. No need to do anything crazy. Today's Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi. So many devotees are not eating anything, not drinking anything, which is very good. But a lot of devotees, they only feel very inspired to do this one time a year, Pandava Nirjala, but they don't follow any other Ekadashi. A lot of devotees, they go to Kirtan Melas, they're very enthusiastic for chanting in the Kirtan Mela, but it doesn't seem like they're very enthusiastic when the next morning comes and it's 4:30 and we don't see them at Mangalarti. Where is their enthusiasm then? So it's nice we can follow Nirjala Ekadashi and we can also go to Kirtan Melas, but we should also have that enthusiasm in all aspects of our service, and we should follow the simple rules and regulations as far as possible. Because we were speaking about Swarup Damodar, Pundari Vidyanidhi, These are very exceptional cases of devotees who are completely transcendental to all kinds of rules and regulations. But we see that devotees like Srila Prabhupada, but even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, very strictly following the rules and regulations of our Ashrama Dharma. So it's not that upon becoming a pure devotee, we just reject all kinds of rules and regulations. In fact, practically all these rules and regulations are very favorable for performing Krishna consciousness. So we see that pure devotees, they follow these things very naturally. We might be following them very mechanically because we don't have attraction for serving the Lord. We have to set an alarm on our phone. We have to put our counter beads so that we know how many rounds we're chanting. Things like this, rules and regulations. But a pure devotee, they naturally rise early in the morning to worship the Lord. They naturally just chant so many rounds. There's no need for some minimum. I promise to chant minimum. There's no question of minimum chanting for a pure devotee. So anyways, they naturally follow the rules and regulations. We see sometimes they exhibit behavior which shows their glories of being completely transcendental to the rules and regulations. Like the Babajis, Gorkishwardas Babaji Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So we also see cases like that, which show the exalted platform of pure devotees being transcendental to these rules and regulations. But in the meantime, we can follow. So, understood. Any questions in the physical world here? No? Yes.
So obviously, like we hear so many devotees who are in uh, an adverse condition of life, some fearful situation, and they take shelter of the Lord. But how can one kind of would doesn't have a natural inclination to take shelter of Krishna, who's maybe in a kind of materially comfortable situation? How can he actually like develop that that feeling?
Yeah. And they probably didn't hear him. He asked, sometimes people take shelter of the Lord because they're in a distressful situation, but for people who don't feel like they're in distress, well, what can help them come to the Lord? Why would they take shelter of the Lord? I'm kind of reminded, thankfully, I was never a part of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, but I heard that the first rule in Alcoholics Anonymous, or what's the other one? Narcotics Anonymous. The first thing is admitting that you have a problem. And if you aren't convinced that you have a problem, then there won't be any kind of impetus to like do anything about it. So one of the big things which devotees do, which Krishna did to Arjuna, and which Srila Prabhupada did to his followers during all times, but especially in early days, is kind of showing them like, hey, this isn't how you live, you're suffering. You're just bringing up very simple points. So you might have big buildings, you might have smartphones, you might have Bluetooth headsets, you might have all these things, but can you stop birth and death? Can you stop disease? You can't stop these things. Just pointing out very simple things like that and showing that actually, no matter all the advancement that you have, you're still suffering in this world. No one can say that they're not suffering. No one can say that they're not afraid to die. So Krishna also, from the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, is explaining to Arjuna, this is a temporary place. You're not the body. That's also an important thing to understand. Ultimately, you're not like this, but you're in this situation, and this is the reality of it. I remember kind of experiencing that. That was like that was something which blew my mind when I just first started reading Prabhupada's books. Is that this is the first time anyone has ever explained to me that I'm in Maya and that I need to get out of Maya. I was reading so many other kinds of spiritual things, so whatever. Nobody ever thought that it was important that the reader should first of all understand that they're in Maya and you have to get out of Maya. So that's a very important thing. Of course, we're not going to be able to go up to everybody in the street and say, listen, rascal, you're suffering. I know you don't know it, but I know it, and I'm right and you're wrong. And obviously, nobody will listen to anything like that. But very gradually, especially by demonstrating um, how blissful and amazing the life of a life in devotional service really is. People come and they see how devotees are living and they think, why am I working a 9 to 5? Why am I grinding? Why am I doing all these unnecessary things? These people aren't doing them and they're very happy. So maybe I should also be like that. So we can show by example. Um, but yeah, awakening some level of knowledge of the fact that um, there's no happiness in this material world. It's another very important. Yeah, we should inform people of this. Of course, we can also distribute prasad and they can hear the holy names and like that. And kind of inconceivably, some change of heart will happen. So, I guess. And of course, there's also in the Bhagavad Gita, it's not just that people in distress are the only ones taking shelter of Krishna. But Kunti Maharani does pray in her prayers in the first canto that those who haven't fully been completely fried out with material life, they can't take up seriously to devotional service. She said it like that. So it's not necessarily that we have to go through all these trials and tribulations, but unless we've fully understood and realized for ourselves that this is not a place of happiness, then we won't be able to really give it all to Krishna. So I think that's what Kunti Maharani says. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Just smash the rascals. So, are there any comments or questions on the virtual world? Doesn't look like it. Well, thank you all very much. I didn't realize that His Grace Vijay Prabhu and Tara Prabhu were here, so please forgive me if I spoke anything wrongly, and thank you for